It took 15 days from start to finish for Hurricane Larry to form, skirt through the Atlantic Ocean, and finally make a Newfoundland landfall on September 11th, 2021. Many people don't realize that not only on that significant day we had back in 2001, there was also a hurricane right off the coast of New York and the Northeast. I am talking about Hurricane Erin in 2001 coming up to the Northeast off the coast of New York, almost making a landfall on September 11th, but then hooking back out into the Atlantic Ocean only to make landfall with Newfoundland. How interesting is that 20 years later we have Hurricane Larry making landfall on Newfoundland on September 11th, 7,300 days exactly on the anniversary of 9/11. And I almost forgot, if that wasn't enough for you, every single major model that forecasts hurricanes for the Atlantic Ocean is showing 1 to 2 major storms taking place all within the next 7 to 10 days. We're going to check it all out right now. Here we go. Welcome back, my friends. It is September 11th, 2021, 11:03 a.m. And we all know today is a very important day, specifically for the United States and actually the entire world. This is a day that everyone knows about. And of course, I want to acknowledge it in a little bit of a way, but we're going to continue on with the weather and some of the upcoming situations we have. Not only that crazy situation with Hurricane Larry and Hurricane Erin back in 2001, both of them making landfall in the same exact place 20 years later on the anniversary of 9/11. Unreal. And we're going to take another look at that in just a moment, but I want to talk to you guys about what we have to look forward to and what we need to know. And you can see right away, we have an energy-packed Atlantic Ocean. We basically have two invests stacked on top of each other coming off the west coast of Africa, and we now have an 80% chance of cyclone formation in the Gulf, moving up to South Texas. This one's interesting. We are going to take a look at a few different models here. The one you are looking at now is NavGem, showing a tropical storm / hurricane, which would in fact be Nicholas, making landfall with the southeastern quadrant of Texas. 994 millibars in pressure. We know these storms can form, make landfall before they even show up on a chart. So to see this storm here on the NavGem really gives a lot of emphasis and atmospheric conditions that will lead to this storm. So as we can see here on the NavGem, Larry comes up to the northeast, moving into today's data right here, landfall in Newfoundland, and then just within 24 hours of now, we have the formation or invest, which leads to potential Hurricane Nicholas, landfall Texas, Louisiana. As far as the GFS goes, again, we see Larry exit stage right, and then guess what? We don't see a Gulf storm with this deal. We see a storm coming up from the Cape Verde Islands, and just like we've been saying from the start of the season, we see another East Coast gliding storm moving. The GFS version here puts Nicholas as a tropical storm / hurricane hitting the outer banks of the Carolinas, shooting straight up to Chesapeake Bay, and then take a look at that. Centralized, what looks to be over the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. We got Long Island in that mix. Another northeast mess we could be dealing with. Not to mention another big storm forming, just like Larry did out in the Atlantic, with plenty of time to forecast. And then take a look at this from our Canadian friends, the CMC model. Keep your eyes on the west coast of Africa, as we kind of get a mix of both of those two models, and we get a west coast of Africa storm. Now, these are the ones you need to watch out for that momentum, forming early by the Cape Verde Islands and already at 995 millibars in pressure as it's approaching the Leeward and Lesser Antilles Islands. That would be about a week from now, but nonetheless, the storm will be formed and have an invest name well before that. In fact, we're about 4 days from that formation. In fact, we can go ahead and name that one Invest 93L. As you can see here, it's officially an invest, more than likely a formation. We got spaghetti plots and a model intensity guidance chart, which is a little too early to even look at, but here are the first set of spaghetti plots, not really showing much, just passing the Cape Verde Islands. This is usually where these storms begin to form, as we just showed here on the Canadian model, but it's good to have the spaghetti plots and a radar chart to be able to have that much better data. So we can see so far the data is on track to be correct. It is important to notice that these two areas of watch right here are here because two different models produce two different versions of a long storm. I just showed you the Canadian version of that model, which is this disturbance right here, 70% chance over 5 days over the Cape Verde Islands. And then if you remember, we had a second invest down here, which kind of does form and comes up in this area. So we may see two separate storms almost pancaked on each other flowing towards the Leeward and Lesser Antilles. We've seen it before. We've had one hurricane come down this way and another storm come up towards the center of the Atlantic. It seems to be a theme this year. We've had Larry and Henry, and we also have the potential for this storm on some models showing as a storm hitting Texas and Louisiana. On other models, it shows skipping over Florida, forming, and then riding right up the east coast of the United States. As you can see in this graph here from the GFS, all while that second invest in the yellow we talked about does form and comes out this way. So the GFS being very aggressive with an east coast storm, the CMC agreeing with that long track storm, and then we have the NavGem showing a disturbance coming off the west coast, but more honed in on the Gulf storm that could potentially be Nicholas, causing major issues for Texas, Louisiana, and whatever else this forecast decides to do. And my friends, like I said yesterday, it's not about if we're going to get these storms, it's when. This is peak season. We still have a good chunk of even October for major hurricane status storms, and given our history recently from 2017 through 2020, the most active hurricane season we've ever had, we are right on par to see the same amount of storms in the second half of the season as we did in the first. I don't know about you, but I think it's very, very interesting that not only did we get a landfall on the 16-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina in the same exact spot, but then later on we get Hurricane Larry, which literally mimicked the exact path at the exact same time of year to the day, 20 years later, 7,300 days, and then making landfall on the anniversary of 9/11 is just unbelievable. And that also seems to be a theme going on with historical events. My friends, that's all I got for you for right now. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's going to be a long one for many people, and all we can do is try to get through it together. Shout out to Canada. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon for sure, if not early in the morning, and I appreciate each and every one of you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Stop right there, my friends. If you have not already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Click all and you will get all notifications from this channel. And trust me, you won't be disappointed.